Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Ira Cooper. Welcome, Ira.
Thank you, David. Evening, everybody.
Kurt isn't here because Kurt doesn't subscribe to Amazon.com. He doesn't get these games like a lot of people don't see these games. That's really unfortunate because in the end, it was a thrilling game. It was a weird game. It was a frustrating game. It was a terrible game. Like it was all these weird things mixed in together. It ends off in absolutely spectacular fashion with the Edmonton Oilers scoring 3 third-period goals and a goal in overtime to win it. Largely on the back of, essentially Connor McDavid scores a miracle goal and it leads to a kind of a miraculous win in many ways as well. 5-4 over the Columbus Blue Jackets. Ira, we will do quickly the grade A shots in this game. The Oilers, for the first time in 4 games, have had more grade A shots, 16-12, with the subset of 5 alarm shots, 8-4 for Edmonton. So they had a significant advantage in the end over the Columbus Blue Jackets. 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers. And since it's such a great win, we'll go with 2 good things each. Ira, what is your first good thing, Amundo?
It's interesting. Those grade A shots and 5 alarm shots were a bit surprising because about an hour ago, my good thing was going to be the fact that the Condors play tomorrow and they're actually fun to watch and entertaining to watch. And I was looking forward to that. But so kind of on that same note, my good thing is they got a win. And after that second period and how bad it was, and after Mangiapane did his thing, and then, you know, there was quite a bit of good early. It was up and down, but then it got really, really ugly for this team for probably the middle 30 minutes of the game, and vibes are about as bad as they can be. And we got some good things to talk about, and they'll be part of that. But at the end of the day, there was some luck in there. There was some spectacular plays by a spectacular player. There was a save in there, and there was a win. They got 2 points, a win. They're going on the road. Vibes will be better, and maybe there was a fluke goal that tied the game up that saved the season, and a win. It's just a win tonight is a good thing.
What is that fine-looking dog's name, Ira?
This is Sky. He's my elderly greyhound. He's now 12 years old, and
He
this
looks
is what
like
he
a
does most
beautiful
of the time.
dog. Beautiful dog.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, they were down. Let's with 6.5 minutes left in the game, they're down 4-2 to the
Hmm.
Columbus Blue Jackets
Yep.
in a must-win game,
Yep.
where they haven't really, where the same things that have haunted them all year, or many of the same things, because there's like a list of 20 things that are haunting them right now. But um, bad defensive play, defensive gaffes. I
Mm-hmm.
think fundamentally defensive gaffes haunt this team, and we saw it again in this game. But they did, as you say, they got a win, and like unreal that they got this win. It was
Yep.
so so unlikely, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily unexpected, because this Oilers team can score like
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Some of the players can, at least, and some of those players did, Ira.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which leads me to my good thing, Connor McDavid. He didn't have a perfect game, but I gave him a 10 out of 10. He this win is his win.
Yes.
They're down 3-1 after the second period. It's deserved. They're pissing away another game essentially. And a minute into the period, Vasily Podkolzin wins a battle in the Oilers zone. The puck goes to Matthias Ekholm, who makes a really nice forward pass to McDavid, who's cutting up ice. So I think a 2-on-2. And he kind of takes his defenseman in one direction. He does a complete 360 and and without barely looking at the net, he throws the puck into the top shelf where Mama keeps the cookies for the first goal. It is
Far
one of the most
side.
far side. It is one of the most incredible goals I've ever seen in the NHL. A 360 goal, backhand, top shelf, far side, when his team is desperate for a goal. And man, that was just, it was unbelievable. And in that moment, I thought, oh, they're going to win this game. The Oilers, and I'm sure most Oiler fans thought they were going to win this game. That feeling was quickly dissipated by a mistake, which you are going to be talking about shortly. But, essentially the Oilers get scored on again. But McDavid does it again with 6.5 minutes left. And the much maligned Evan Bouchard kicks off this play with a great offensive play. It's shot out high out of the Columbus zone, and Bouchard hunts it down in the neutral zone, knocks it down with his hand, and makes a perfect pass right on the tape to McDavid, cutting in to the Columbus zone. McDavid breaks around the outside, goes in on net, and stuffs the puck in. It is another great, absolutely great game. It reminded me of a minor hockey era where there's one player on the team that you're counting on to score and win the game.
Yep.
And at that level, that player's so much better than all the other players that he can actually do that at will, and regularly does that, the player or she in minor hockey. There's lots of girls teams now. And he did that. McDavid did it. He put this team on his back and went in there and got that goal. They're still down one, though. Go ahead. I'll let you interject here.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so after that first goal that he scored, and nothing was going right at that time, and I posted on one of the online platforms that I talk on. Oh, and now McDavid scores one of the highlight goals of the season to this point, and that in itself right there was meaningful because you talk about being that minor hockey league player, better than everybody else, could just score at will sometimes. You know what? McDavid did that in the NHL consistently for years and years. No, he couldn't score at will. It's the NHL, but we're used to, or have been used to, you know, McDavid making spectacular plays every single game, two, three times, like rushing through players, not only scoring, like the goalie makes saves, defensive plays happen, but taking you out of your seat plays, multiple times a game. And a lot of times scoring, like he would score 10 to 12 goals, like that second goal. The first one was like a goal of the year type of candidate, but the second one was a
Yes, the
spectacular goal.
second one was more normal heroics.
And to be honest, he still gets his points and a lot of them on the power play over the last couple of years, but the consistent take you out of the seat and scoring spectacular goals has been way, way, way down. And I felt like stick handling through people and getting to that. He also, remember, in the first period early, basically almost scored a goal like he did that spectacular one where he came back from his collarbone against Columbus, where he stick handled through four players. He got to the net and it was saved. So two spectacular goals and another spectacular rush. We haven't seen McDavid do that like a game with three in probably a couple of years. We haven't seen him do it with any sort of consistency in a couple of years. And I'm not trying to diss McDavid. It's just not something that defenses back off more. So to see him score those types of goals and have another rush that was kind of along the same line is very heartening. Maybe we became numb to how good he is, but those things I'm used to seeing on a nightly basis. And the last couple of games, I think his hands are starting to catch back up to his feet because they hadn't been there over the last little while, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's almost like this year they've been playing all these young stars
Hmm.
who suddenly, like, McDavid feels like a little old.
Hmm.
And I hate to say that because he's not that old,
No.
but he's what, 28? And
Yeah, I think he turns 29 like January. Yeah.
but there's been these array of young stars, and the Oilers haven't played some of these teams like
Mhm.
San Jose or Anaheim yet, but that we've seen, like Jack Hughes, for instance,
Mhm.
comes to mind in one game, who put on these spectacular shows, and McDavid hasn't done that this year. It's kind of like he's morphed from Cristiano Ronaldo to Harry Kane, the British striker, who's very
Mhm.
clinical, but isn't a spectacular player like Cristiano Ronaldo. So it's just a short period of time. And I think, you know, I think like in all the many theories about what's wrong with the Oilers, the one I do go back to, and I think there's some credence to, is they're emotionally exhausted from two Stanley Cup final playoff runs, and also from I think McDavid's contract situation took a ton out of him and was weighing on his mind. And this is just complete speculation. I don't know what's on his mind, and I can't read it. But just from watching him as a McDavid observer, close to McDavid observer for many years, this is my best guess. That weighed on him. He took it very seriously. There was a lot of pressure, and it was discombobulating, I think. And he's still coming out of that. He's still working his way into the season, and he took a big step
Yeah, I think
tonight.
so. He might be back. He said it was time. It was time. He was right, and he might be back. And if he's back and he's going to go on a heater, well, I'm all for it.
Because you're right, we'd been missing those great. Like he was so clinical on the power play and lots of nice
Hmm.
plays. Like somehow
Hmm.
he's nearly leading the league in points. Like he's really close to it if he's not right
Hmm.
there. And but where were the great plays? They weren't there.
Yeah.
I have to say, there's one more play I want to comment on with McDavid. It's the Walman's goal. I won't get into too much detail, but I thought Draisaitl and McDavid's forecheck on that, back and forth a couple times, put a lot of pressure on the Columbus defense, and ultimately led to the turnover.
Hmm.
That's why they turned over the puck. Is McDavid and Draisaitl were haunting them and scaring them, and we're on them, and we're hustling back and forth, and that's what kicked off that
Hmm.
virtuous cycle on
Yeah.
that particular goal. Let's get to your second good thing because it leads into
Oh,
this.
yeah, let's parlay into that. My second good thing is going to be Jake Walman. Not that Jake had, if you take away the production, thinking back, not that he had a great game, but he sure did contribute to the 2 points the Oilers got tonight. He was actually on the ice for all five goals the Oilers scored
He
and
was, wow.
three
Three
and
of the
three
other
goal
teams.
and three of the other teams. So I'll still take +2, but he scored the first goal off that cycle. Everybody was tired, and it was just a wrist shot to the net, but he got the puck through the net. There was another time he didn't get the puck through the net. It got blocked and came back to score one of the ugliest goals against all season. Um, the
That
Monahan
was
goal. Oh,
beautiful. I thought it was beautiful, Ira, that goal.
and then like obviously that last goal is a fluke, but it's knowing the game state. It's knowing there's a minute left and you have to press. That's why Jake Walman was down at the bottom of the circles, and it was a bit of a fluke, but he scored it. And there was a big save made in overtime, and Walman picked that puck up, head up, right on the tape to Jack Roslovic. So an assist for the on the game-winning goal. So just for the 2 goals and the assist alone, and the fact that Walman been struggling the last couple games, and he had his struggles again tonight. He was great for the first 6 or 7 when he came back from injury, but he's had leveled off quite a bit, and last game was pretty ugly. So to have a game like this is going to get his confidence back up, and so far from a perfect game, but I thought that was far from a perfect win. There was a lot of ugly in it, so I'm going to give it to Jake Walman. And also his celebrations. Not that there was anything there, but it was just, sheer joy and maybe I'm sure some relief, but this team often doesn't celebrate goals enough. There's not a lot of happiness and exuberance. So the looks on his face after both his goals, especially the second, Jake Wallen.
Yeah, the one I met was beautiful was his
Mm.
tying goal with 20
Well,
seconds
that,
left.
yeah,
I was
of course.
tweeting something out in that moment. But yeah, that was like the one he scored there with McDavid and Draisaitl buzzing, and then the puck
Mhm.
gets thrown around the
Yeah,
boards because they're panicking,
yeah,
and Walman picks it up and goes in and it puts it off the defenseman's
yeah.
stick right into the net. It was like such a fluky goal, but such a
Uh,
great
do
moment.
do you have a name for that, David?
I do not have a name for that kind of
Yes,
goal.
you sure do. It's called Californian.
Well, outside shot that gets deflected in by your own team is the
Well,
Californian, but we'll
deflected
take
off
it.
the glove, but yeah. All right.
Yeah, we saw a Californian the other night in the original master, the
Yeah,
Californian Brent
Brett
Burns scored it
Burns.
on the
Yeah.
Oilers. Didn't
Hmm.
put it off Pavelski. It was some other dude, but
But that wasn't
Brent
lucky.
Burns
That
was
was
the leader.
I say that was actually Brett Burns doing exactly what he meant to do. That was a
Yes,
great play. So
that was Brent Burns. He's such a fantastic, which is why he's playing at age 40. He's an
mhm.
amazing athlete, an amazing hockey player. Yeah, Walman did start off good, but he's been about as rancid as a 30-day old nectarine the last 2 or 3 weeks. He has been terrible, and he had some bad moments in tonight's game as well. But he had like that overtime pass was really good,
Mhm.
like just very very athletic, like just very skilled, high skilled
Mhm.
moment, pressure moment. Rebound comes to him, bang! It's up to ice to Roslovic
Mhm.
on a bad line change, right? Like they're changing,
Mhm.
and Roslovic's in on the breakaway. So Jake Walman, that's the Jake Walman that we wanted to see signed, and most people were happy to see signed. Was that kind of high skill player,
Mhm.
and he hasn't been doing that regularly. So, as Jack Michaels would say, he's off the schneid.
He wasn't on it for very long because he did have a great start to his season, which started late. But he's back. Oilers are back. Maybe Wallman's back.
Maybe. My and maybe Stuart Skinner's back.
Mhm.
He didn't have a great night, Stuart Skinner. Like there was lots of goals against. There was a bad rebound. There was some not looking through a screen,
Screen.
kind of like the typical kind of Stuart Skinner things. I think but he made in overtime. They broke in 2-on-1. Leon Draisaitl made a bad line change, leading to a odd man rush, and Charlie Coyle broke in. It was a 2-on-1 pass over. This is just how Skinner gets beat all the time, right? Pass over across the Royal Road, the middle of the ice, and there's a shot and it goes in. But this time he saved it.
Mhm.
It was a as people have been saying. There's just not enough timely saves with the Edmonton Oilers. This is what they mean by a timely save. This was a
Mhm.
fantastic save in a crucial moment of the game, and he kicks it out. Walman puts it up to Roslovic. Roslovic goes down and scores an
Yeah.
absolutely gorgeous goal by Jack Roslovic, who is turning into, like, if the Oilers do turn around this season, Ira, the acquisition of Roslovic will surely be one of the keys to that, because man, what a major find he has turned out to be.
I was contemplating Roslovic as one of my good things as well, so I
Yeah,
agree there. But to back up on Skinner, um, yeah, you talk about like again, far from perfect. I could blame him on each of the first three goals somewhat, probably not looking around the screen, bad rebound, like multiple culpable parties on all of them. But
yes,
there was also another big save near the end of the first period where there was a
same
breakaway
guy
save. I can't remember
on Coyle.
exactly. The first there was about this was a tale of about 6 games. It changed so much, but near the end of the first, when the Oilers, I think it was 1-1 still, the Oilers were playing one of their better periods in a long time, even though it was still far from perfect. They gave up a breakaway late, and that was a big save. And I hear he doesn't make big saves. Well, that was a big one. And like in the dying minute of the period, that's always an important time. I heard he can't save breakaways. Well, it was a breakaway save. And I think he hears what we're saying too, because he said something in the media today about not saving enough breakaways. So he knows he's been struggling a bit. So encouraging to make the overtime save as well. That's the last save he's made, so it's the most recent one, and that's what I'm sure he'll be thinking about as he gets on the plane to go to Philly tomorrow.
If Stuart Skinner is paying attention to the media, he should not. It's the number
I,
one rule of media training for NHL. Any NHL players, don't listen to talk radio. Do not read
mm,
anything online. Don't read anything. Don't listen to anything, and tell
mm,
everyone who knows you never to tell you anything of what they read.
mm.
And the quicker pro athletes get through that through their heads, the
Yeah,
happier they will be.
yeah. Sometimes the
Um,
media will tell them for will
that's
tell them
true.
anyways.
Media, they get it. They do
Mm,
hear from the media, like in their
yeah,
question. Yeah,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
hard to blot it out, but it's easy to cut it down. You can't blot it out completely, and you do
Mm,
have to get a thick skin to deal with it. But what you can do is you can lessen the load and not search it out. Not go looking for this kind of material that I write regularly online. Uh, you're pretty moderate, Ira, in your criticisms. I've always noticed on X, like you're very fair minded and
Many would disagree. So
is that right?
yeah.
I find your commentary is just very fair. All right. We are now at bad things. What's your bad thing, Ira?
Well, my bad thing is Andrew Mangiapane. Just you know what, like I've been hard on Mangiapane in my head mostly a little bit, just over the last 2, 3, 4 weeks because
Yeah,
and part of it is the coaching. I just think he's been a drag on that top line at 5-on-5. He's not doing any of the things that he could do to make him successful, which is be hard on pucks, be a pest, do those types of things. I do think he's been miscast. I did say in the offseason, I'm sure he's going to start in the top six because that's what everybody's projecting. But by the end of the year, he's going to be on the third line, and I think he can be a very highly impactful player on the third line, but he's been miscast. But that doesn't mean that you can make egregious plays in important situations. So the Oilers are coming off an absolutely horrid second period. That was maybe one of their worst periods of the year, in particular the last 10 minutes. And they're down 3-1. Somehow they could be down 4 or 5, given all the time they spent in their own zone. Their captain, as we already spoke about, scores a spectacular goal, one of the goals of the year, to drag the team back, the crowd's back in the game, and he hits the puck in the defensive zone with all the time and space in the world. He makes a poor decision to pass the puck across ice where he was going to. He doesn't execute the pass. It gets cut off, so now it's a quick strike against. He makes one of the most weakest flybys trying to defend that quick strike 2-on-2, and they go in and score, and game's over. Like, as it turned out, McDavid is McDavid, and they got some luck, and the game wasn't over. But it could have and should have been over. And it's just to play a veteran, somebody that the coach trusts as a two-way player, and there might be some mistrust here because our coach just seems to think that if you're a veteran, you're good defensively, which isn't, and if you're a rookie, you're not good defensively, which isn't necessarily the case. But it's a play you can't make. And he also made another poor defensive play on the Monahan goal in the first period, which was when Walman's shot got blocked and it went back the other way, and Nurse backed in so far that he actually backed in and went to the end boards and left the guy in front of the net. But Mangiapane, and if you look at the goal visualizer, three jackets, like they were all in the neutral zone together. Three of them got to the net quicker than him. One of them scored, and there he is in the picture. Where if he would have taken more hard strides, he could have prevented the goal. So, is you know, Bouchard got benched, for I think it was a phantom call, but I guess you could say a lazy penalty. And Mangiapane didn't miss a shift after that, which was a bit surprising. Got 5 shifts in the third period, even after he tried to lose the game. So I'm being a little harsher than I usually am on any particular player or the team in general. But that was about as an egregious a play that you can make, given the timing and his status on the team as a veteran, and his play in general over the last month, I'd say.
It was the kind of play that has you wondering, maybe they should have given all of the opportunity they've given to Andrew Mangiapane this year to Ike Howard. And maybe that would have be working out better. Because he scored a couple nice goals, right? Like he's sniped in a couple goals, and every time he does that, it's like, oh, Mangiapane. But there hasn't been a lot of great moments. And there, like you say, Ira, there hasn't been a lot of hustle plays. That's the right word. Hustle plays. Yeah. And that's what they've all got to, they think they're going to do it on skill. this is what they've been doing all year. Oh yeah, we're going to just do it on skill. We're going to skate around everybody. But no, you got to actually outwork the other team. And that's really brutal and hard and hurts and is no fun, but that's how you win hockey games. And in the end, they just went to work, and with their skill, they win games because.
Well, yeah. Before we go to your about thing, I just want to go back to that point that you made. You know what? And I've been saying for pretty much this entire last 3 weeks or a month. Like it has been, in my opinion, a fail of the coaching staff that they did not move Mangiapane off that top line into a third line role where, again, I think he has a great skill set at this point of his career. And you say Ike Howard, I would have gone with Matt Savoy. But given,
Fair enough.
one
Yeah.
of those more youngful, skilled players, a chance in that spot. Like Zach Hyman's coming back. Well, you never know because what the coach says about injuries means nothing. But we think Zach Hyman's coming back sometime at the beginning of this road trip. And now you got Hyman and Rostovich. Great 1-2 right wing. Fine with that. But Hyman's been out all season long. And they tried Frederick up there. They've tried everybody. And so I got the game tonight finally with Nuge out until they broke it up. But like there was every ability to give one of those two guys just a stretch of games. Are either of them worse defensively than Mangiapane? Look what he did tonight. I bet you Matt Savoy wouldn't have made that play. And did you see Matt Savoy? It was more in the first half of the game, or maybe in the first period until things came unglued in the second. But he was carrying the puck with confidence, like through the neutral zone. Like he would defer a bit, but he in that first period, what it reminded me of is Kyler Yamamoto right after he got called up when he was on the dynamite line. And for 29 games, they were the best line in the league. Just he was creating turnovers in the offensive zone, chaos, making some plays. Like he never scored or anything, but it was probably coming. And I sure hope they go back to that line together. We know why they loaded up in the third. That was one of those times you have to. But I hope the coach resets back to four lines again and doesn't start in Philly how they ended tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not confident we're getting there, but we'll see.
When is Philly? Wednesday or Thursday?
I think they play Wednesday, Thursday
Oh, okay, man. All
because the
right.
Condors play Tuesday, Friday. So because I
Okay.
know that I don't have conflicts tonight, I'm excited for them. So
All right. My bad thing is you mentioned it briefly, Mangiapane's culpability on the second goal, the 2-1 goal. And it starts in the offensive end with Walman not getting the puck. When you're the defenseman and you have a chance at the point, your number one job, the fundamental job is to get it deep. And it's great if you get it on goal as a bonus. If you don't get it deep, you've failed in your task. He didn't, and they broke it out. And it turns into something of a bit of a 3-on-2 because of this turnover by Walman. And both he and Nurse have backed up quite a bit. And McDavid and Mangiapane are coming back. McDavid comes back slowly and allows the outside shot. He gets there just as it's being delivered. Mangiapane doesn't come back fast enough and is unable then to help Walman. But Walman makes a really bad play. He doesn't trust Stu Skinner with the shot. He kind of moves towards the shot. And when he moves towards the shot, it's by him and it's rebounded and his man goes in and scores. That's on Jake Walman more than anybody. If he just took his man, there's no goal. And if Stu Skinner doesn't give up a big, ugly rebound on an outside shot, there's no goal. So there was plenty of mistakes on that one. And it was it was typical, just a number of small mistakes adding up to a goal against. And that's been the story of the Oilers season. They just have been losing little battles, making little mental errors, one after another, compounding, and bang, it's in their net. And it happens again and again and again.
both defensemen backed in too far. Nurse backed in all the way to the end boards, not stopping in front of the
I
net.
thought he was covering his man who might have got a pass. Like there was a
Uh,
possibility his man was, and he followed through with his man, which I thought probably made the right play. Although he did back
uh,
in there. I agree.
uh,
But
uh,
the puck could have come over to his guy and he's got to be there. So,
Yeah, you're going
um,
to be there, stop in front of the net. The guy's not going to score from the end boards, most
that's
likely.
true,
So,
Ira.
yeah.
There's a good point. I always have lots of sympathy for the defenseman being a old timer defenseman myself, prone to making many defensive errors. I feel for those guys. All right. Let's move on to numbers. What is your numero?
Yeah, um, I think I'm going to go with two. We've talked about it a little bit because it goes to Connor McDavid, and it's a few things. It's the number of spectacular goals that he scored in the game, but it's also the number of 5-on-5 points that he had tonight, both in the third period. And two 5-on-5 points in one period is a quarter of what he's got on the year now. McDavid came into this game with 6 points at 5-on-5 on the season. And I don't know if we can blame him not having good line mates, as 40% of his time on ice at 5-on-5 has been with Leon Draisaitl. So um, for a while there in the second period, my number was going to be 6, which was the number of even strike points. So I'm turning that negative and actually going with a positive, saying, hey, now he's got two 5-on-5 points tonight, three even strength points because oh no, he didn't. He wasn't on the ice. He didn't get a point on the overtime goal. So two, and maybe again, I think McDavid's going to be on a bit of a heater. It's not just on McDavid. The entire team has been very poor both offensively and defensively at 5-on-5. They've relied on their power play for so many goals, and it's actually a praise to McDavid that he's at least coming into the night right near the top five in scoring in the league, with only having six at 5-on-5. But now he's got eight, and McDavid often does that thing where he gets all of a sudden 23 points in 9 games, and we're going to need him to do more than produce on the power play, and in overtime we need 5-on-5 scoring. Not just McDavid, it's the whole team, but this is he's the main guy, right? Maybe Leon makes more money right now, but and going forward as it seems, but McDavid's the man, and if he's not a dominant 5-on-5 player, both of them, but McDavid's part of that, this team's not winning anything. So this is a start of getting back to where they need to be at 5-on-5.
He has to be the best 5-on-5 player on the ice
Mhm,
every game if the Oilers are going to the Cup.
mhm,
And he's come close to doing that. He just was not able to achieve it every game against Florida in the finals.
mhm,
He did it in some games, but that's the truth about the Oilers. They're just and to be fair, the salary cap NHL, there's the money gets thin after a while, and if you've spent even a little bit on the wrong guy, you're in trouble. The Oilers haven't spent a lot on the wrong guys, just in a couple cases. But even there, like, it's just the money is, when you're paying superstars, the money is spread so thin. So those guys
mhm,
have got to come through. And you
mhm,
know what? That the Walman goal, the other improbable thing about it was it was shorthanded. I mean, Roslovic had
mhm.
taken a penalty,
Yeah.
a high sticking penalty with like 2.5 minutes left. And the owners, like, it's they're down a goal. Like, how are they going to score? But they got it in the
Mhm,
other team's end, and they forechecked like crazy, and then it went
yeah.
popped to Walman. All those guys needed to do was ice it.
Mhm,
The players on the other team, like, what's nothing wrong with a face off,
yeah.
but they were trying to, because it's a power play, they can't help but try to make a play and score
Mhm,
instead of
yeah.
making the safe play. The CBJ players are passing it around so they can form
Mhm,
their attack, and it's just how they're wired, right? They can't
yeah.
just
Well,
think outside the box. Hey, we're a little pressure here. Let's just ice the puck, whatever.
yeah, you know what? Like the Amazon broadcast crew kind of mentioned that there was about a minute 20, minute 40 left, and Columbus had pressure on the power play, and they were
Yeah,
passing it on the outside. But the Oilers weren't pressing; they were in their structure, and I'm thinking they might just keep doing this.
that's my
It's you pressure on the power play if you, without the right timing, you generally give up a chance, but they almost kind of have to. But then they force the puck to the inside on a low quality play and got to go in the other way, and a fluke goal happened. Like Columbus could have played that a little better.
I think so. It's thinking they, because they want to try to score, because then they would kick themselves if they don't try.
Mhm.
But why try? Just pass. If you can keep passing that puck around the outside of the ice, man, that's a
Mhm.
great way to kill off the
Did,
game.
did you notice Matt Savoy was one of the people on for that PK? Like, well, like in that situation, McDavid's
He's
dry
good on the
because you need
PK.
a goal. Yeah, but he's good on a PK. But in a situation where you need a goal to tie the game.
Well, the
And
coach trusted him there then, eh?
yeah, my point. Exactly. My point.
That which is good,
So
which is
maybe
good.
he'll continue to trust him in at 5-on-5 situations. He can help the team.
My number, my numbers are three shift lengths. They are
Well,
12, 18, 213, and 144. 12, listen again 12, 218, 2 minutes, 18 seconds, 2 minutes, 13 seconds, and 1 minute, 44 seconds, which only is 1 minute and 44 seconds. It was cut off because a goal was scored against the Oilers. Those are the shift lengths for shifts from Brett Kulak and Troy Emberson in the second period. They were stuck out there and almost entirely in their own zone for that amount of time in the second period on shifts. And for two of those shifts, they were out with Henrique and Frederick, Adam Henrique and Trent Frederick. Um, and one other player was the winger on the different shift, like it alternated. Um, that's a long time to be out. Three different shifts, and it doesn't speak well necessarily of that defense pairings play
no.
tonight. And it ended with a goal against where a very tired Podkolzin gets the puck above the blue line but can't get it further. It goes back in. Emberson gets it in the corner on his backhand and stumbles over the puck. Can't clear it. Podkolzin is then involved in a battle. Can't get the puck. It goes out to the blue line, back down low. And Kulak can't battle. He's too tired to battle the guy in front of the net, raises his stick, and it's put in the net by, I think, boring Sean Monahan. And if I'm not mistaken, and it was it was a very tough moment, I think, for Ty Emberson. Um, he's battling for a job right now with Troy Stetcher, and on Oilers now, Bob Stauffer was saying Troy Stetcher will block a shot in the nude to get ice time. And Frank Saravalli chipped in. That's why they should keep Stetcher. And this isn't going to help Troy Emberson's case, even though Troy Emberson's been a pretty significantly better than Troy Stetcher this year. I think at even strength, Stetcher's struggled more. But these shifts by Emberson um, clearly show that Alec Regula is just a better player. From what I've seen, it's not that close. He's bigger. He's way better with the puck. He's as good. He's as sound defensively. And Emberson's a fairly sound defensive player usually. He keeps it simple and safe. But I think Regula can do that. So I'm not saying this is the
I,
end of Troy Emberson on the Oilers, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him traded.
I I don't disagree. The second period was terrible, especially the last 10 minutes for most of the team. Like they were hemmed in a lot, and that defense pairing in general. I was a bit surprised that they put Emberson back in. I actually thought Regula was probably one of their better. Not that it says much, but one of their better players
The
against
9-1.
Colorado. But part of it is also like Emberson had sat for a couple games. And I actually think, aside from a couple games early, Emerson's had a pretty good season. He's been
He has.
sneaky solid in general. And I understand Troy Stetcher, and I know what he does, and I know the heart that he has, and he gave some good minutes in the playoffs last year, and some before that as well. But for me, like it's regular. Well, it's regular as number six, Emerson's number seven, and they're gonna flip. I have Stetcher just. I have him as there's a gap now between
Yeah.
Emerson and Stetcher for me, and the fact that Emerson's 25, maybe he's 26, and Stetcher's 31. Like I, if you can get a trade for value for Emerson and actually get a decent asset, maybe. But this is a defensive defenseman that's just coming into his own. He's already improved, I think, this season, tonight notwithstanding, with his ability to make plays at pace, because that's his issue, is when the pace of the game picks up, and that's why he was benched in the playoffs because he couldn't make plays fast enough. And I found him doing better this year. Again, not a good game tonight. They got running around. You get tired. Shit happens. But I would. I don't find Emerson and Stetcher as comparable players. There's more, not that there's high upside with Emerson, but look at a guy like Nico Mikola, like who's just like he's a power strength now for Florida. Like different type of like different body stature. Where was he
Huge.
when he was 25? He wasn't even in the league. Like, this is not that old for like defensive defensemen often come into their own in their mid to like 25 to 27, 28. Brett Kulak's one of those players that, is more substantial as he hit 28, 29 than he was when he was 24, 25. So I'm not saying Ty Emberson's great or he's not tradable or anything, but I'm not getting rid of him to make a roster spot for when Hyman comes back. Like that's the 31-year-old Troy Stetcher. I'm sorry. Like I don't want to lose Stetcher. I think he's great depth and we need him, but I don't. I'm not sure about trading Emerson. Like, I'm not trading him
Well,
for a sixth round draft pick and a C prospect just to make room. I'd rather move Stetcher and risk losing him.
I think it could come down to the cap hits of the two players, though, Ira.
He's
With
1.3, and for next year.
Stetcher's
I know,
800,000, like below 800,000.
I
That's
know,
like $500,000 on your cap.
I,
Well,
I
it's
know.
not in total, but it's significant. And
Yeah.
if is the difference between the two players enough to warrant for a seventh D man that kind of
Yes,
difference?
when you consider their age and the fact that the Oilers are going to play hockey games after this season, I say yes. For me, and let's not forget, like I think Stan Bowman targeted Emerson. And maybe he hasn't quite lived up to the
He did.
trade day expectations, but he's a Stan Bowman guy. And I again, I'm not saying like it would be the most egregious thing ever, in particular in the moment, but I think a 28-year-old Ty Emerson at on his next contract for 1.4 million might be like he's gonna be cheap for a long time because he's who he is, but he could provide some solid minutes. And he's a much better penalty killer than Troy Stetcher.
That's true. Okay, let's quickly shift to another field of play, Bakersfield. You're watching all the games
Well, yeah.
pretty much online. Okay, what are the one or two highlights, or maybe one or two guys who have disappointed in terms of and just focus on the prospects
Yeah,
because that's all
yeah.
the people. That's you know,
Uh, the highlights, well, a lot of these new signings, out of Europe and NCAA have done well. Like Margela is a extremely skilled player. He has a lot of Ales Hemsky in him. He's not Ales Hemsky, but he can stick handle in small places, and he's a wonderful disher of the puck. But the most promising guy at this point is Robbie Jarventi. And I think we knew that coming in, that I said it after watching the two games that he played last year, that where he was by far the best player on the ice, that the only thing keeping this guy out of the NHL is his health. And Giorgetti hasn't played every game because up until this past weekend, they weren't playing him in back-to-backs. And that's generally what you do on the AHL. There's most games are on the weekends. So he's missed maybe I think three games,
four,
but what is
yeah,
it for?
4 to 11.
In pretty much every game except one that he's played, he's been the best player on the ice for either team. And it's not like he's spectacular and he's making the crazy rushes through the neutral zone. He's just a very skilled, confident, smart player, and he is an absolute load below the hash marks in the offensive zone. On the boards, like he's not a bruiser, he's not a hitter, but in board battles, like he'll be in a battle behind the net with like there's like four players in there. He comes out with the puck and makes like a slick, skilled pass to the net. But the Condors have scored three goals this year off passes from him from behind the net that started with a battle, and he's got a great shot. The only thing keeping him out of the NHL is health. And actually, this past weekend they took the load management out. He played both ends of the back to back. I didn't see the second game as much as I normally do because I was watching the Oilers lose 9-1, so I was on the second
Yeah,
screen. So I didn't watch every minute because I'm kind of back and forth. Although I did watch almost the entire third period because it was more entertaining than the Oilers' third period. So Roby Gerventi, I think he should be and maybe called up within a month. Um, But you know what? Like at this point, where I am with it is, I'm not even excited for it because I have no doubt Knobloch will just play him on the fourth line with Lazar and Janmark and put him in a position to fail and where he needs to be in the at least the middle six, if not like a top six type role. I know there's not a lot of room there, but calling him up and putting him with Janmark is just the same as putting Howard with Janmark. You know what I mean? No.
Well, Janmark shouldn't be playing, quite honestly.
And the other one, I won't go into a lot of detail, but my favorite player or new prospect might be Josh Szymanski. I love that guy.
Really,
Oh my God, like
just
he's
one goal, Ira, in the 11 games.
I know,
Last
but
place.
his box cars very much undervalue what he does on the ice. First of all, he's like prominent PK guy. He's learning a little bit on the PK, but he's used heavily on the PK. But 3-4 times a game, he gets the puck and he creates space and he makes nice plays. He's not playing necessarily on the top scoring lines. He's more on a second or third
Yeah,
line. And again, he's not going to be a huge scorer. Remember, he's brand new to actually. I think he was actually played
played
some
junior hockey here.
junior hockey. So, but it's
Yeah,
been a number of years, and also like if you see the interviews with him, he's such a great kid. He's always smiling, happy, like great personality. I hope he makes it. It'll be a couple of years, but I think he has a lot of. I don't want to say Ryan McLeod because he uses his big body better, but like third, I see a third line center in there. If like if he puts it all together and like it's probably more likely than not that he doesn't make it because I guess
it's
I'm
hard.
he's a undraft like he's a free agent signing out of the German league. Like chances are he's not going to make it. But you know what I'm excited for? Watch him in the Olympics. I think he's a lock for the German Olympic team. And I think he should come back from that with a lot of confidence. And I was wondering, because I don't know a lot about German hockey, so I'm like, maybe I've seen like 4 or 5 lists, every single one of them have him on it. So I think he's a
That's really
legit
cool.
candidate. Yeah, yeah,
That could be a huge moment for him.
yeah, I
He's
think
a big
so.
guy, right? Six, like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
put him at
yeah.
6'2" here. I thought he was more like 6'4", but
I think if I remember back to training camp, I think there's a couple different reports on his size, but he's big out there. Like he needs to put on some weight. And he's not like a teenager, so maybe this is who he'll be, but I'm sure he'll be able to put on 5, 10 pounds working
it's
with
only
the
yeah.
North American trainers and whatnot. But he can skate, he can shoot, he's skilled, he's good defensively. They're working with him on the PK. Like I think he's got a chance to carve a role. But I also thought that Noah Philp was going to be a lock for C, and he's kind of up and down. So
Okay, what about this? Any disappointments? How about
it's
Lebanon?
actually he was going to be the one that I was going to say it's gotten better the last couple games, but
Yeah,
those first 7, 8 games, my God, I haven't seen a bigger tire fire defensively ever. I'm like soft on sticks, like pinching, no idea like structure where to be in the defensive zone. He's actually made a couple nice defensive plays the last few games. Some of them are coming back on the backtrack after being caught
uh-huh.
up ice on a rush. And he's been a bit underwhelming offensively because that's his calling card. Like,
Yeah,
but also remember, it's like sometimes it's tougher to show your offensive skills in the AHL because you're playing with the structure's not as good. Like players aren't where you think they're gonna be. Like when you come up to the NHL, everybody's where they're supposed to be. Everybody's making the right play. In the AHL, it's a little more scrambly. But he's come along. The last couple games have been much better, and it didn't help that they paired him with Cam Dineen in the first. Like Cam Dineen's been was Condor's best D-man last year by far.
hmm,
The only thing worse than Leppinen might have been Cam Dineen in the first 5 games. He was brutal. He's come along back to almost his normal self, but the first 5 games he was even worse than Leppinen, and they were a bad mix. They split him up about 3 or 4 games ago. So
all right.
and I don't want to say this, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Not that I think it should matter. Is by far the best D-man on the Condors from game one has been Josh Brown. By
Oh,
far,
really?
by far. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah, yeah.
cool. How
Yeah.
so?
He's playing in the AHL what we probably hoped he would do in the NHL. when they
Yeah,
signed him.
solid
Like
defensive
he's like
hockey.
they're like he's not solid. It's an aggressive use of the word solid. There's mistakes out there, but he makes good plays. He's engaged. He's a leader. He's fighting. He's taking care of his teammates, laying big hits, and like it's like I'm sure he lost his confidence last year, expecting to be an Oiler. I mean, I think now
Yeah,
he's accepted the fact that. Well, maybe I'll get a few games up here or there, maybe, but
yeah,
I'm a Condor for 3 years. I think he's
yeah.
realized
Make $1 million a year
yeah,
and do that.
and he's been good. Like they've needed him. He's been good. He's a leader on that team.
All
I'm
right.
not saying call him up. I don't want him anywhere near the Oilers, but
So
he's
nice
good
to
on the
hear that.
Condors.
All right. Nice
Yeah,
to hear that it's turning out
yeah,
okay with them.
yeah.
Better than the alternative. All right, Ira, let's leave it there. I want to thank you for filling in for Kurt tonight. It is always a delight to
Anytime.
have you, and I appreciate you taking your time to do this. Thanks again, Ira.
Thanks again. All right, David. Have a great night, everybody.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.